Zebra Swallowtail flies through the valley, but not in Pittsburgh, flies an hour away. They are south, they are west, but not here. Where have I gone? The zebra tail extirpation zone field surveys. I hope that this video will help you to have a better understanding of what exactly I am looking for by going around to all of these locations in my effort to restore the zebra swallowtail back to Pittsburgh. Here, I will talk about some of the places that I visited to gather data. The data I'm collecting is, are there pawpaws here? Could pawpaws have been here before? Is this a good location for pawpaws? Are the plants mostly invasives? Is there a good population of native plants? Are there any plants at all here? Did any cultural activity happen here? What kind of cultural activity? Can I kayak here? Would boating give me more access to this area? So many questions, but seriously, just by going there, I figure out some things. A lot of my observations are just guesses, but I do refer to old maps on occasion or read up on local history. My background as a field archaeologist has trained me to see cultural impact everywhere I look. As far as the zebra swallowtail is concerned, the more places I visit, the better the understanding I have of what's needed to bring it back and what activities contributed to its extirpation. And that's the point of all this field work. And that's the point of all this field work. Get it? The point. Yes, this is a final destination for the zebra swallowtail. For now. The confluence of the Monongahela and the Allegheny to form the Ohio. I do believe that pawpaws should be restored to Point State Park, as well as many areas in between. If you are unfamiliar with Pittsburgh, this image shows the Golden Triangle. What follows are some areas that I have visited and my thoughts about them. Turtle Creek. Here it is as it flows through Wilmerding. It is banked with sloping concrete slabs. This part is not ecologically friendly at all. Turtle Creek is one waterway that, because of its history, has captured my imagination. George Washington slept on its banks, closer to where it flows into the Monongahela, which is probably where the Edgar Thomson steel mill still stands today. The lower part could be an excellent kayaking destination if we could get rid of those slabs and improve the sewage infrastructure. Part of this restoration would include planting pawpaws. Seriously, it's cute. A few miles upstream, Brush Creek merges with Turtle Creek. Lots of knotweed here, but it's far more natural than the lower part. I think that with some work that this waterway could be quite lovely. Of course, that would include pawpaws and zebra swallowtails. This part is less feasible for boating, but I would like to see it revitalized and open to the public. Further upstream is the Westmoreland Heritage Trail that will eventually go all the way up to the Conomoc River. I'd like to see it connect to the Monongahela River too. Yeah, it's a nice little path. In the vicinity of the confluence of Brush and Turtle Creek, next to the railroad tracks, we found this steel county line marker, Westmoreland/Allegheny. All of these areas should be thoroughly surveyed for native plants because even when an area has a high percentage of invasives like this one, there are some good plants left. I'd also like to see some further cultural surveys done because, a lot of these are historically very significant. I mean, seriously. Next is a spot in Venango County. This idyllic creek ran next to our Airbnb and is on the property that Andrew Carnegie invested in that netted him about $1 million in the 1860s. The 4-inch pipe on the left carried oil. I said in my last video that the first oil pipelines were developed in this area. The very first ones were made of wood, but iron is definitely quite a bit more durable. Another thing that struck me about this creek is how straight and wide it looks. I think that it may have accommodated small barges like the one below in the springtime when the water was high. Honestly, for this stream, a smaller barge would be necessary than the one I am in here in another part of Venango County. I do not have any firm knowledge of the history of this creek other than it is within the Story Farm area. It is likely that the majority of oil from it was transported via pipeline. But who knows? More Venango County oil vessels, mostly tanks and a few barrels. The middle photos are from the Drake Well Museum, the first oil creek and the final one next to one of the trails on the Allegheny River. Really, there was a tank every mile or so. Besides the bicycle trails, I highly recommend the Drake Well Museum. Venango County is far north of the Pittsburgh extirpation zone, but it is worth visiting. I really think that it is highly likely that the zebra tail flew here before the 1860s and should be restored. Yep. Chartiers Creek is where I determined that cross-grafting wild pawpaws is a necessity in some areas. It's also an area where going out on boat has been extremely helpful in accessing areas that we cannot on foot. Chartiers is not boatable on all parts, and in many cases it's only feasible after a good rain. I haven't yet surveyed all of it, but I would like to. I have found a pawpaw patch that is largely inaccessible by land. The patches here either have low or no fertility. Hopefully that will change in a few years. Look at Todd and his tire. Chartiers Creek is an area that could be an excellent recreational area. One outing was with Allegheny Cleanways, which explains why Todd was floating with a tire in his boat. Allegheny Cleanways is an excellent nonprofit that deserves a lot of support. They're so cool. So much fun to hang with. I have visited a lot of other locations, but I think that that's enough for now. Here's a couple 19th century Pittsburgh paintings from before the zebra tail was entirely extirpated. The one is early 19th century when it was just looked like a town, and the next is when it's starting to look like Pittsburgh. Anyway, please like, subscribe, and comment if you got something from this content. And now, pretty soon, I will sing you out. Yeah, I can say more stuff about this. I'm going to talk about cholera eventually at some point, but alright. Yeah, see? Now, in my rinky-dinky way, I haven't timed this correctly, but here we go. And 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. The sun returns and so do seeds that spread by wind and other means. Forests return, animals return, butterflies return, but not all of them. Forests return, animals return, butterflies return, but not all of them. And that means a zebra swallowtail. Thanks, bye.